Hello and happy Monday after Christmas. I am testing a new microphone thing. You guys need to let me know if this sounds a little better than it has before, or if there's any issues with the sound. Please let me know over there in the live chat that we have going. We do this every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific time because I'm on the West Coast. That would be 4 p.m. Eastern time. If you are on the East Coast, forgot which direction I was facing. But hello, freezing Northern California. Ooh, freezing. Yeah, we are going to get pretty cold here in Las Vegas. Now, I know it's all relative. For some of you, we're going to get down into the like upper 20s. And for some of you, like in places where that's a normal thing, if that's not such a big deal. But for us here, that's a really big deal. And I am a little nervous about my torties outside. No, don't get me wrong. I got them super tucked in, like they should be fine. But it's always that worried mom thing. It's just always that worried mom thing. They're in wooden dog houses. And then once they've gone in there for the winter, I'm kind of checking over here to see if you guys are giving me a good, nobody said anything about the sound. So I'm going to assume the sound is good. Just let me know if the sound is coming through okay. Because you guys are all talking about the weather. Okay. Watching the chat over here. So they're in wood dog houses that are insulated on the top. And then once they go in there for their, what they call brumation, then oh, good. You're saying sounds good. Then I stick a cardboard box a little tighter around them. And then I insulate that with straw. And then I cover like the whole thing with a towel. And then I have these plastic sheets that keep it waterproof. And by all rights, that should work. But there's still that little nervous mom in me of all my tortie babies. And you never know if they survived the winter brumation until they come out in the spring. So it's always like one of my happiest days of the year when one of my outside guys makes their appearance. Now, you can't see her, but little Hope is over here in the corner, and little Hope's getting grumpy. Hope is hissing at us because Hope should be sleeping by all rights right now because Russian tortoises also do a brumation. But because of her health conditions and her physical conditions, the vet advised us to keep her awake this year. And to keep a sleepy tortoise awake, you must mess with them. So we have to pick her up daily. We kind of scratch her shell. We give her what are called soaks, where we make her like nice warm water and we stick her in it to get her nice little soak. And then we feed her really good. And she's eating good when we do that and everything. But she's grumpy. She's very grumpy. No, you don't see. And that's the thing. Everybody's saying put heat lamps and do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to get them warm. That defeats the whole purpose of brumation, to where their metabolism really slows down to like nothing. So warming them up could start stimulating their systems and cause them to have other issues. So I used to have thermometers, and I just didn't set thermometers up this time. You have hedgehogs hibernating in your garden? Really? How cool is that? Oh, you use totes for the feral cats? Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah. Now, when, and I say when because it's not an if, it's when I get a sulcata or one of the larger breed tortoises that don't do the brumating, then you do have to give them a heat pad and all of that good stuff because they have to stay warm. Yeah. So I'm just a worrier about my animals. I truly am. I just like, they're like, I have kids, but these are my kids too. You can see this is why I was a little late getting started, because I don't know why we're going through this issue. Bougie loves to come out of the cage, but Bougie is very possessive of this one perch that Rachel's calling it a she, so we'll go with she. That she likes to perch on, and she will not step up onto my fingers. And so we have this little battle, but as soon as I walk away and open the door, she comes out, and then she flies across the room, and I have to get her back, and then I have to put her on top. And I didn't do that quite early enough to push that button on time. But we're getting there. It's all a learning process. Oh, and Rachel is so excited because for those who've kind of been keeping track of our 8 new rescue birds, the little lovebird is now eating from her hand, and we'll let her scratch its head, and she's like super excited. So as soon as the downstairs birds are out of quarantine, which is 30 days, we keep them in quarantine to make sure they're not bringing in any diseases or that they're going to get sick and get our other birds sick. So they're separated. But after 30 days, she wants to bring them all into her. I think I'm bringing the cockatiel into here to give Bougie a friend. But she's going to have another cage in her room, and we're hoping that Scoop, her other lovebird, and this new lovebird will hit it off and be buddies, and that they could maybe even live together. But we'll see, because Scoop is a little spoiled brat. Scoop is not the friendliest of lovebirds, even though we hand raised him, and what do you do? But everybody's doing good so far. Everybody's doing great. I want an African gray parrot, and they're probably like my next step up. I'm kind of getting over a fear of the bigger birds. I absolutely adore them, but I am terrified of that beak, and I have to learn the behavior. Like Bougie's really teaching me, like, when is a bird going to bite you? Even a very domesticated bird, there are times that they are going to bite in defense. So I'm learning the behavior patterns through a smaller parrot that's not going to hurt so bad before I move up parrots. But an African gray is definitely one that's on my list of birds. So, and I went silent as I'm like kind of keeping track of the chat comments over here. Yeah, their bite isn't the best. Oh, I know. Yes, I know. But we got to, so the other day we went to a little, I like to go to the independent bird stores. We have one here called For the Birds. There's another one here called Priscilla's Pantry. And so we go there because we like to get the fresh food. Most people don't know that the food you get like at Petco and PetSmart, the prepackaged bird seeds and stuff, they've got like preservatives. Number one, they have to have a shelf life of over a year. So that's not the greatest thing for your birds. So we like to go to the small shops that make their own foods and package it, and it's fresh and it's got all the good stuff in it. So we went to this one the other day that also does boarding, and there was a lady bringing in her 2 African grays because they were doing a plumbing thing in her house. And all of a sudden she smelled this adhesive smell, that plumber's adhesive smell. And she freaked out, and she threw her birds in cages and got them out. They're so sensitive. Birds are so sensitive to all kinds of like toxic stuff that can be in the air. So she let Rachel, of course, hold her African gray. And she says it has never bit her in I think she said 15 years that she'd had it. So I'm like, okay, all right. So there are nice ones out there. Okay. But I'm sure everybody didn't come here to talk about birds. How do you plan for the longevity of the larger parrots? Same as with the tortoises. The tortoises live as long as parrots. Tortoises can live like 100 years. So they need to go in your will, and you need to have like a willing family member or somebody that's gonna take them. Fortunately, as you know, I have an animal crazy daughter. Rachel is going to have no problem keeping all of these animals long after I'm gone. Yep. Where in Michigan are the parakeets? You must be, are you responding to someone else? Because I'm in Las Vegas. Animals have been my life since I can remember. So one of the things I collect, I don't have any around me. One of the things I collect, give you guys a little insight into me, is these little plastic animals. Most of them are just marked made in Hong Kong. Some were made for like the Noah's Ark set. But there's several different types of these little plastic animals. And growing up, that was my imaginary world, is I played with those animals for hours on end. They all had names. I mean, I had a huge bucket full of them. And as I became an adult, obviously I didn't play with them anymore, but they were housed at my grandmother's home, where a lot of my childhood stuff was. A lot of memorabilia, a lot of stuff even from my kids. And when my grandmother got Alzheimer's, and this goes, if you've heard me tell the story of like, owls don't have the best, what's the word? Attachment. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. So owls were never like, give me the warm fuzzies, because this particular aunt, who I will explain, I collected owls. That's kind of the association. That's the word I was looking for. So this aunt came in and got power of attorney and kind of took over my grandmother's home and got a dumpster and just cleaned the house out without telling any of us or giving us opportunity to come get things. And she has a daughter who was an eBay seller. So all the good stuff, went to the daughter for resale, and just a really bad situation. So I lost all of my childhood little animals. So I do watch for those. I look for them at the thrift stores. They're usually in the baggie section against the wall. And I have a saved search set up so that I see all the new listings that come out. And I've been able to replace a majority of them, but there's still some like really special ones that I've never found. Wait, I thought I had one in my drawer here. No, I don't. There's a couple of like horse ones that I have not been able to find. So I'm always on the hunt for those. I'm always looking for those. But that was like my, like what kids do with video games today. That was like my obsession, my video game. I would play with those little animals. So, animals have like been a big deal since and I wanted to be a veterinarian. That was like my life goal, was to be a veterinarian. And, the first kind of funny thing, and I don't even know how old I was. I think I was like 10. We lived in Whittier, California, and my brother and I we were latchkey kids, and we were home alone a lot. And the neighbor across the street saw me out front and called me over. He says, "Hey, I have a bunny that my dog went after, so I can't keep it here. Do you want it?" I'm like, "Yes." So he gives me this little white rabbit whose name was Snowball, and I bring her home, and she's in a box, and my mom gets home, and she assesses the fact that this poor bunny needed to go see a veterinarian because it looked like it had a broken leg. And sure enough, it had a broken leg. So the vet put a cast on it. I had to take care of the bunny, and that was like my first, like, I'm in. Give me bunnies. Give me animals. Like, that started it. It's possible. The thing about the real animals is, I can't even put it into words. I take care of these animals every morning. It's like part of my routine. It's a reason to get out of bed. you jump up and you've got these little squealy guinea pig faces like, you feed me. And I know it's all like, just feed me, it's like they don't experience the same love emotions we do. But yet here's these little creatures that are completely 100% dependent on me to provide for them. And it just gives me like that real sense of like purpose. And most of my animals are rescues. And I look at those three little faces in there that somebody dumped those in a backyard. And I can't even fathom that. So I'm always trying to make up for some of the trauma some of these animals experienced. Ozzy was a rescue. My little black dog. I got him as a puppy, but something happened in his very short first few weeks of life before I got him that makes him absolutely terrified that somebody's going to hurt him. And then Peanut was, thank God I looked in my side mirror as I was backing out of the driveway one day because she was by my back tire. She was a rescue. And Xena, my Rottweiler, who passed this year, she came from a situation where her owner went to prison. And so Xena got left with the grandparents who could not control this big untrained Rottweiler. And so we took Xena. I mean, everything has been like, rescuing them out of bad situations. All my tortoises have been rescues. Oh, you're a vet tech and work at a humane society. Yeah. I was a vet tech. For about 2 years, right before they changed the requirements. You didn't used to need to be licensed to be a vet tech. And I worked alongside my large animal vet. And then I worked at a pet vaccine clinic this was back before, is it PetSmart or Petco that has I think they both have one now, but we used to set up at the Petcos and the PetSmarts and do the vaccination clinics for the things. And so I worked alongside those vets and just learned everything that I could. And then they required all this licensing and continued ed and all that. So I didn't do it anymore. I just worked on my own animals. Irish Girl, a tote is like the plastic containers that have a snap-on lid. That's a tote. Yeah, I did at one point. So here's the thing. We need purebred animals. I don't disagree with keeping species going with responsible breeders. I did raise, at one point I raised Pomeranians, and at another point I raised Great Pyrenees, these purebred dogs. But the thing is, what makes it different, I know we're not even talking about e-commerce at all, guys. I promise we're getting there. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to get there. The difference is a true responsible breeder who sells a purebred puppy will, number one, have a spay neuter contract so that the person getting that puppy does not go on to breed more puppies unless they are a show quality puppy. And a true breeder knows which one of their litter is going to be those show quality puppies as well. And then the other thing is they are always willing to take back a dog, no matter the age, and make sure that they are not in the shelters or ending up someplace. That's the big difference between that and a backyard breeder who's just breeding some dogs to make some money. There's that too. And unfortunately, those are the ones where somebody gets them, they go on, they may want to make more puppies. There's no spay neuter stuff going on and all of that. So, okay. Enough about animals, even though I could talk about animals all day. The subject of today's show was about, are you ready? And what do I mean by that? Are you ready for a fresh new year? I I mean, it's like we do this big build up to Christmas, 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 and then it's over. And then what? So what are you guys doing? I want you guys to answer this over in the chat. What are you doing to prepare for 2022 for your business? You guys are still talking about animals. Yeah, I know. There's not a ton of really good responsible breeders out there, but we do need preservation of species. If there was no breeders, all there would be mutts, right? So they have their place. There is a place. Carolyn, Tiffany and I gave up on the vintage market booth because of the time requirement that was needed, and also just the money versus the expense didn't make sense for us. Because if we take that time and do other things with it, we can make way more money. But it was really like the time. The time was a huge investment, and we weren't super happy with the management of that mall. Not the person who managed the actual marketplace. She is a doll. I love her to pieces. But she was under the rule of the main management of that building, and they weren't so great. Stop. Why is Janie saying stop? Okay, now let me see. You guys are answering my question. Karen is expanding to a vintage booth. Awesome. Nana is figuring out how to grow my business. So I would say, Nana, in that figuring out, what are the specifics you need to figure out? What is keeping you from growing your business? Angela is all about list. Getting my tax records in order. Yep, I actually just reached out to my tax lady right before the show and just like, hello, we haven't talked for a while, but it's that time. Getting stuff in order. My office exploded due to Christmas packages and gifts. Yep. Melissa, I made a goal that I will list at least 1 to 2 items, hopefully daily. Very good. Very good. I'm learning from you. That's what I'm going to prepare for 2022. Okay, awesome. I'm going to try to schedule a day or time slots to work on my business and stick to it. That's really good, Teresa. It's super important. Super important. Setting up bookkeeping software and hiring a CPA. See, I like the very specific of that. And we're kind of talking about goals, right? Going to full force with listing items. Even if we go into another lockdown, I have so much personal items I can put up. Let's hope we don't do that. But even if we do, your online sales can keep on going. Sold a Christmas item today. Trying to figure out if it's really worth it. Just sell part-time, but I have a lot of good stuff to list. So, and I love these questions. I mean, I could take each one of these questions and we could like work a whole segment around it. So really dig into the what's not worth it right now, what's not working, so that you can look at what's working. Trying to convince myself to get an eBay store and what to name it. I totally think you should get an eBay store. The naming is important, but shouldn't be a deterrent. Vintage and Vino. We're going to list more and put more content out on our channel. Also going to travel for sourcing and meeting people. Yay. Come back up to Vegas. Let's shop some more in Vegas. I need to get down to Arizona. Like, I do have plans to go to my Bullhead City area, which is only, a couple hour drive. But I really want to get down to Phoenix. I really need to make a little trip of going down to Phoenix and doing a little shopping outside of my Vegas comfort zone. Thank you for those saying you like my videos. Thank you. Thank you. So Julie says, I find that organizing my inventory and tweaking it again and again keeps me on track rather than buying too much of the same. I'm not a fan of doing a lot of tweaking on listings that are already created. I'm a big fan of using that time to create new listings. But if that is working for you to keep you on track, then you've got to do what does work for you. Doing inventory. Not too many online sellers really give a lot of attention to doing a physical inventory, but I highly recommend it. And it's really helpful for your taxes as well to know, that's an asset of your business to know what inventory you have. Also, for insurance purposes, it helps to know what inventory you have and the dollar amount. And as eBay will often do in losing some of your listings, if you're doing a physical inventory, then you don't have stuff sitting on your shelves that either isn't listed or the listing shows up, but you don't have the item, because that's a thing that happens too. Plan to start listing, hopefully the 2 a day. Good for you. Good for you. Let's see. Thinking about starting on Etsy too. Awesome. You guys know List Perfectly is like my go-to for cross posting. See, I'm way behind now in the chat. Ooh, I love this one. Being a little more risky with bigger profit items. You go. Yes. Looking into opening a booth at an antique store because of me. Oh, so excited. I have been preparing for a couple of months, scout the Goodwills in my area, and they're full of treasures. That is awesome. I do love brick and mortar retail. I am still a big fan. I love merchandising. I love that direct interaction with customers that you do in person. So stay tuned. Something coming soon. Craig says, Danny, since watching you and Tiffany is Thrifting Vegas, I started looking at Goodwill a lot differently. I'm trying to learn what everything is. I've picked up some items. How much inventory do I need to start with? You need as much inventory as you can consistently list. So my rule of thumb is like try to do 2 a day. So that's 14 items a week. So if you're only going to Goodwill once a week, you need to look for 14 items. If you can go twice a week, each time you need to find like those 7 items. You know what I mean? So, and that's putting it in simplest terms, but that will help you not to get a big, what we call a death pile or a profit pile, is if you're only buying what you can get listed that week. Now, I am not a good example of that if you look at my eBay store at all. But also remember, I have other places that I'm selling stuff. I'm selling things through my live sales, which we're going to have one Friday again. I took 2 weeks off from live sales just because I needed it. So live sales is where a majority of my stuff sells. I also sell a lot of stuff directly from my videos. Like if you guys ever see anything that you want to buy, don't be looking at my eBay going, when is she going to list this? You can just email me and say, I'd like to buy that. So I sell a lot of stuff that way. And then, yes, I do want to get the eBay rocking and rolling a little bit better again. I've been waiting personally to get the stuff outside of my home. I'm time to grow into a bigger space because of all the different things I've got going. But for starting out, you really want to keep up with the stuff that's coming in. So keep that as your rule of thumb. Getting rid of older items I never listed, sending to local consignment stores, ThredUp, and donate. Great idea. You guys, this is the week to do that too, because you get to take a tax write-off if you donate items. There is no shame in admitting that something that you bought was a dud and your time is better spent with something else. It just happens. It happens to big box retailers, guys. That's why liquidation stores exist. Walmart, Target, all of those places also buy stuff that didn't sell the way they thought it was going to sell. And then they pass it down to like the stores like Dollar Store, Dollar General. Those are liquidation stores. So they're selling it probably for pennies to these other stores, and the cycle just continues from there, which is often why you can find things that you can turn around and list online and make really good money on, because originally they were at a bigger price, and people looking for them that don't have the liquidation source will go online and find them and buy them. So, oh, I like this one. Buying in my niches and not just because I like something. Although, look at why you like something, though, because you may find it falls in line with part of your niche. Organizing inventory, listing 10 a week. I love it. Clearing out all the old to make room for the new on all levels. I love that. Getting back on eBay. Still working on purging. Oh my goodness, you guys. All right, let's see. You guys are saying, yes, I should get, see, I'm way behind. Go back to Yermo. I will go back to Yermo. Yermo's always on the list. Jordan is coming out here for a week. I get her for a whole week. So there will be some fun video coming out of that, because you know how she loves to shop. So we were going to be doing a lot of shopping. All right, you guys, I'm sorry I couldn't put everybody's thing on the screen. Oh, let me just say one more thing about, like, if you email me. So, and this kind of transitions into what I'm going to say next about your plans and what should I do, going into this new year. So the thing that I recommend is that you look at where you fell short. Look at what didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to go in 2021. For me, one of those things was getting dreadfully behind in email and messages, and like, oh, I get a lot. Like, I get a lot of email and messages, and I do have an autoresponder, that will answer a lot of the basic, questions. Excuse me. A lot of the basic questions that I get. Oh my goodness. I swear I just swallowed a dust ball. There we go. That's better. But I cannot answer every single email. I mean, it's almost a full-time job. So I get really behind, and I skim and I look for the, the things where somebody's saying they want to purchase something. And what I have done to remedy this, because I found that this was a problem and I was disappointing people and I was hurting people's feelings and upsetting people, which is something I don't want to do, is I have now trained Carrie to go through my emails. So we're still working out, which things she'll be responding to for me. Like, if you want to purchase something, that's going to be like her department, is to be on top of that. But it's super important too, that if you want to purchase something, that you give me all the info in that initial email. So like I need to know what the item is based on either a timestamp or screenshot from the video you saw it. Because remember, I've filmed that video days before you've seen it. And I kind of like forget what came from what spot. So if you just say, the blue glass vase, well, I could have bought blue glass vases and you haven't even seen those videos yet, and my brain kind of goes, whoa. So a screenshot or timestamp of the video, and make sure you send me your zip code. I don't need your whole address. I just need your zip code so that I can estimate the shipping for you and send you an invoice. But hey, sunny Las Vegas. Welcome. So when you send that info, then Carrie is going to be in charge of responding to those, pulling the item, sending out the invoices so that I can be on top of that and not be disappointing people who wanted to purchase things probably for Christmas presents. And I totally failed. I totally totally failed on that. And I apologize if you were one of those people that I upset. Because that is never, ever my intention. It's like I get comments sometimes like telling me, how mean I am and I'm so cruel to carry and like all this stuff. But like, if you really took the time to watch my videos and get to know me, you would know that is not the case. I never intend to do anything to hurt anyone, but sometimes it happens. I'm a human being, you're a human being. It's what we do. We get caught up in our own stuff and it disappoints other people. And that's where grace comes in. That's the thing that I like to talk about is like, show people grace, because you don't know the why behind what they do. So there we go. Yeah. And if you are sending an email for help with something or a question about eBay, those are the ones I really like. I can't do that through my private email, but I do have a Facebook group set up so that you can go ask those questions. I have trained moderators and admins in there that know how to answer most questions. And I'm in there too. And they'll tag me if it's something that needs to specifically be answered by me. So I do set aside a certain time of my day to be in that Facebook group and interact. So if you need help with an item, please come over to the Niche to Profit Facebook group, which just went under a little name change. I don't know if you guys all heard like what was going on out there is that there was a few, not just one, but a few Facebook groups that were taken down because it had the eBay in the title. And somebody in eBay's legal or trust and safety or somewhere seemed to have gotten a little wild hair and went out there and reported certain groups. So several of us group owners changed the names of our group to not have our group taken down, because that would totally suck. Oh, Carrie can totally stand up for herself. Oh, don't you worry. She's a Buffalo gal. she's a New Yorker, man. That girl, yeah. She would never take crap from me. Nope, she wouldn't do it. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so look at the places where you fell short. Something else that I realized happened this morning that I'm embarrassed to admit, but I have more than one eBay account because I like to play with niches. If as a teacher, as somebody who is advising other sellers on what works and what doesn't, I need to be in touch with that. And so I have accounts that are not, I don't publicize them so that they can stay under my YouTube radar and they get organic, which means just natural what would happen by what I'm doing versus because I have a following. And so one of those accounts, I completely forgot about extending my time away from move. And I went over there this morning to go get my shipping coupon and order my free shipping supplies and if you guys haven't used those, that expires December 31st. So go order your free eBay supplies if you haven't yet. But I went in there and I had 2 orders sitting there that were overdue for shipping. I was like, no. So I had to reach out to both of those customers and explain, what happened and cancel those orders, which is really going to hurt. Those are defects. It's on me. It's like, which really sucks. But, so yeah, for me, it is better management of all of the pieces of things that I have going. And a lot of that comes down to being willing to delegate things that I always felt like I needed to be in control of. That's my personal journey for 2022 is letting go of more things that I've been in charge of, because even if I can find the time to do all those things, it robs time with my kids. And I've promised my kids we are going to go back to our family game night that we used to have. And I mean, I've kind of just let the kids, like teenagers, go do your own thing. But no, I want to spend more time with my kids. So I have to make that time. And for that, I have to take some other things off my plate. And I'm adding some big, humongous things to the plate for 2022 also, which will be revealed soon. But they're biggies. Biggies. So Sunny wants to reach 5,000 subs. Sunny, what are you at right now? Maybe we can help make that happen right here today. I don't have a whole lot of people watching right now, but usually on my lives, I get about 5,000 views. So if everybody would go over and check out Sunny Las Vegas channel, he does more. You're doing more like clothing and shoes and the electronics and the video game, and like that kind of stuff is more of your focus, right? Oh, you're at 958. So you're almost at that pivotal 1,000. That 1,000 is a biggie. It's a biggie for YouTube. So yay. I bet we can get you there. I've got 360 people watching right now. Would you guys go over to Sunny's channel and give it a look? And if one of my mods could maybe post Sunny's link over in the chat, let's push that along. Let's do it. Does Carrie only help with the niche lady part? Well, Carrie helps me with shipping, packing and shipping. She helps me with whatever I need help with, honestly. When I was getting ready for my party, she was helping me organize the house. And, right now I think she's going through the emails right now and finding things that need to be addressed for shipping and all of that. But she's like my gal Friday. You're opening up to everything. Big learning curve now that I'm reselling full time. Yeah. And if you watch me, you'll know I'm not a big fan of just selling everything. Like the riches are in the niches. I'm telling you. So be careful with that. Be careful with that. You can expand on what like you're already good at selling and go for higher profit items and expand there and expand your demographic of that niche buyer. But when you take a shift, like going from selling clothing and shoes and start adding glass and pottery and collectibles, it can be a tough thing. You're not going to get the same prices as somebody who is niched in those antiques and collectibles and the glass and the stuff. Just like if I started putting clothing on my shop, I'm not going to get the sales and the prices of somebody who specializes in clothing. And it's just the way the algorithms work too. So just be careful. Just be careful. My dogs are like barking their little heads off downstairs, and I don't know why. Thank you, Melissa. There it is. So go on over and give his channel a peek. He's also on TikTok. I like his TikTok videos. I really like TikTok for a lot of the educational stuff. Pushing buttons. I'm pushing buttons. Oh, yeah. So you mentioned my advice and how I agree with it in live chats vids. Thank you. Thank you for that. I love seeing somebody succeed. So let's go shopping sometimes. You're in Las Vegas. Come on, Sunny. Let's go do a video together. We'll get you to that 5,000. Piece of cake. Yeah. And sometimes some of you write like a big long thing in the chat, and I try so hard to like absorb it really quick. How many eBay stores do I have? Right now, well, I have two active right now. I have some that I let go dormant. So one of the ones that I used to really enjoy sourcing for and keeping up with was it was a store for special needs kids products, because some of you know Noah is on the spectrum, and the first 5 years of his life, like we lived in therapy. And it was crazy. Like our whole living room was his therapy equipment. We had an occupational therapist would come to the house 3 times a week. He had just somebody who came over and helped him learn to eat. The boy could not eat. It's crazy looking at him now, but yeah, Noah went through a whole lot of stuff. So we learned a lot about, sensory type things. And there was a point my mom was helping to make swing blankets. So it's basically you make a blanket and put handles on the 4 corners so that 2 adults can swing the blanket. And we literally used to take him in that blanket and crash him in the couch cushions because they love that like input. So then there's special toys, that you wouldn't even think about, but for sensory kids, they're everything. So it was really fun to go and source that stuff and stock a whole eBay store with that stuff. But I let that one go for a while now. Oh, don't give up hope, Karen. Don't give up hope on your son. Yeah, Noah, he talked a little bit, but didn't really start talking until he went to kindergarten. And we were so blessed to have, we put him in a private school, and the kindergarten teacher took on Noah as her own project for her continued education. And so she kept a track of a lot of things, with Noah. He couldn't hold a pencil. He couldn't hold scissors. He couldn't do anything when he first started going. And when kindergarten graduation came around, she brought out this notebook of stuff because we didn't know this until the end of the year. And she brought it all out, and we were all like crying, looking at how far he had come and how he had learned to do things through her. Like, it was the right people involved in your autistic child's life can make all the difference in the world. I would just say, I am so grateful for every person that was involved in Noah's life and getting him to where he is now, because he is an amazing little human being. Yesterday glass. So as I said, I don't share all of my eBay stores because I want those organic results, and you'll see this, a lot of YouTubers get to, oh, you only sell that much because you have a YouTube channel, you're out there. And while, yes, having the YouTube channel absolutely helps push people to your products, you can do a business without a YouTube channel. And that's what I like to teach. I want to keep it real, for everybody that I'm trying to help. Your son is 24 now, doing well. That's awesome. Awesome. I always say it's not a disability. It is that their brain works differently. I think their brains are highly, highly advanced. I can see like the gears turning in Noah's head sometimes with the stuff like that comes out of his mouth and his explanations and his in-depth insight into stuff. They're just amazing. That's awesome, Karen. When eBay sends you an email to lower a price because someone has one of your items in their cart, do you lower the price? So I've never had one where somebody has something in their cart. I'm not sure what that email looks like. I wouldn't do it as a knee-jerk reaction. Not everybody is waiting for a lower price. It could be they're still shopping and adding things to the cart. But it's something that if they haven't purchased, pick a time, set your business policy. Let's say it's in their cart for, 4 hours or 6 hours, then perhaps give a little perk for them to hit that buy button. Yeah. In the cart is different than watching. In the cart is like, they're probably still shopping around, or like I said, they're looking to add things to the cart. So yeah, give them an incentive, but only if it makes sense for you profit-wise. I know there are so many kids on the spectrum now. It's amazing how many kids and how many parents still think that it's such a stigma. They don't want to get them that early therapy and intervention. And even now, Noah's dad doesn't believe that he's still on the spectrum. He thinks he outgrew it. I'm like, no, he didn't outgrow it. And we only have issues like when there are medical issues. Oh, for those who didn't see my posting, like Noah was back in the hospital last Monday night. He went to his dad's and I get a text. He's like, Mom, we're at the hospital again. I think it's my appendix. And I'm like, ah. And it didn't end up being his appendix. It ended up being colitis caused by food poisoning. But when Noah complains about something, it is to be taken very seriously because he still has those sensory issues and he does not talk about pain and discomfort like a normal person would. So I have to be very in tune to that with him. But yeah, I still have those issues where not everybody's in tune to my boy like I am. But he's okay. He's okay. Yeah. He goes for his surgery on January 25th. He's going to get that appendix out. He can't wait because he doesn't want to have to worry about it happening again. They don't outgrow it. No, it's not something you outgrow. He's like, oh yeah, we won't talk about exes. That's a whole nother channel. You can outgrow some of the sensory processing issues, correct? Which is basically you learn to get the body to connect with the brain. I understand that. But you don't leave the spectrum just from aging out of it. Yeah. Yeah. He's Asperger's, right? There's different, I know. The whole thing is crazy how many things fall under the spectrum, but he is Asperger's is his diagnosis. Yes, Tiffany and I did close the vintage market booth. Talked about it a little bit at the beginning, if you go back and watch. So what I want to encourage you guys in this last few minutes is we have a little under a week before the first of the year. And I don't know about you, but for me, I love fresh starts. I love clean slates. I love moving forward with a new plan. And what I want you to do is not make that plan. Can you guys hear can you hear all the noise? How good is this microphone just picking up on me? Because there's trash trucks going, there's dogs barking, and I'm hearing it all. I don't know if you guys are hearing it. So what I want you to do is use this time to reflect, as I said, on what could use improvement. Like you don't want to go on doing the same things you've always done if those aren't super successful for you. If you've got things that work, then you sit down and you go, you know what? This worked really well. We need to keep doing this. This didn't work so good. How could we improve this? And then take that information and that reflection on your business and make your goals going into 2022. And we talked a little bit about goals last time, about having SMART goals, which, okay, wait, I'm going to do it this time. It's measurable. Why can I never think of what the acronym stands for? Like, I know what it means. It means, the meaning of it is set something that's attainable, that is not just like, yeah, I want to make $1 million this year. Well, if you don't have the means to make $1 million this year, that's not an attainable goal. You want realistic. I know that's the R. Again, that goes back to the attainable, realistic. Kind of falls in the same thing. Measurable. So you don't want to just say, I want to list a lot more stuff. You want to say, you know what? I'm going to list 2 listings a day. I'm going to list 5 listings a week. Whatever those numbers are, set yourself an actual realistic number. What does the S stand for, you guys? What is the S? Help me with the S in the SMART goals thing. Measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So I want to, okay, and I'm just going to declare it right here. I want to reach 80,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I've given myself something that's realistic. I know I can do it. It's attainable. It's measurable. I've given it the number and I've given it the time frame by the end of the year. Specific. Why? And a lot of those are redundant too, right? It's like specific and measurable are kind of, right there. Just gives you an easy way to think about it. That's why I know the gist of it. And I always forget what the words are that go with it. Yeah, specific, measurable, achievable, or attainable, realistic, and time frame. Yeah, timely. So those are really important. And if you do those things, I know it's cliche. Everybody says set your goals, blah, blah, blah. But if you do it in this way, there is a very, very high likelihood that you will reach those goals. And you'll reach them because you'll sit down and you go, well, how am I going to reach that goal? What am I going to do differently than I did this year where, maybe I didn't reach that number? Because we always like to do bigger numbers, bigger goals. So what can you take from what worked, what didn't work, turn that into what you can do differently to make that goal? And let's all set those goals. I think next Monday, I want you guys all to come back, tell me what your goals are and make it those SMART goals. Let's make it. It's like, I wonder who I could have come on to talk about that. I might have a special guest next week. You guys, you stay tuned. I might have a special guest for you. I'm going to reach out some of my feelers out there and see if I can bring somebody to talk about that. Yeah, it's all about the steps. The goal is just like your work backwards now point. It's the steps you take. You can't just set a goal and then do nothing. You have to take action to get to that point of reaching that goal. In my case, with my 80,000 subscriber goal, I have to, number one, I have to keep putting out the content that's kept me where I am. But in my mind, I'm like, I need to do better content. I need to improve my content. So now I'm looking at the steps I can take, like what can be better, what is more likely to increase people finding me and my channel. I think one of the things I need to work on is my thumbnails. I know like the thumbnail is like everything for people to like click and watch and all that. I get a lot of analytics. So it's studying those analytics on the videos that do really well and then the ones that don't do so well and figuring that all out. So I'm constantly, trying to figure out how do I reach more people? I mean, that's what it's all about, reaching more people. So yeah, I've never done the New Year's resolution thing yet. Like, how many people do you know that actually kept a New Year's resolution? Right? Like, I want to stop drinking Dr. Pepper, but realistically, am I going to? And if I set that as a New Year's resolution, how long would it take before I just like forget it? I'm having a Dr. Pepper because I enjoy them. All right. Yeah. Tim, you said my videos are too long. Well, again, it goes to that algorithm thing and studying it. And I find like YouTube likes to promote the longer videos. So in order to get YouTube to promote my videos more, they need to be that. And I have found I've played with anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. And the sweet spot is right around 40 minutes. So that's my goal. It's like having a little, reality TV show every week. People like that 30, either like a 30-minute one or an hour one. So, and it really just has to go with YouTube. YouTube is such a beast. I know some of you love it and some of you don't love it. And it's like, I have learned I cannot make everyone happy, although I've tried. But I do try to make the majority happy, which kind of comes off of the data and the algorithm and all that stuff that it shows me. So I do not know why my dogs are going crazy, but I'm gonna have to go figure that out. All right, everyone, it is that time. Bougie, we are good birds today. You taking a little bird nap? You sleeping up there? You got to learn to say goodbye to the folks. Nope, you're sleeping. All right, everyone, with that, I am going to have a live sale on Friday. So I will see you before the new year. But if I don't see you on Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, well, then I'll see you next year. But until then, go be profitable and make it fun. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.